Hi everyone, Angelina, Sparkling Diva, and I have another pick a card reading for you. This one only has two choices because it's a bit of a larger reading, and it's on you, the reading, insight to get insight in yourself, more insight in yourself, which is the reading is actually meant for well, maybe new beginnings or like a birthday or new year or whatever, to just see where you're at. You can also use it to see how you have grown, and yeah, we're going to look at what drives you and what you love, what brings you delight, who you really are, and so on and so forth. And yeah, two choices. We have on the left the ammonite shell, and to the right is pineapple calcite. I believe both come from Mexico, if that interests you. So make your choice, either the ammonite shell or the pineapple calcite, and then I'm going to start the reading. Oh, before I start the reading, I'm so sorry, I hope you're still watching. I'm using two different tarot decks. So this, the Ammonite shell will get the Forest of Enchantment tarot, and the Pineapple Calcite will get the Green Witch tarot. I've done that deliberately because if for instance here we get, I don't know, the Hierophant, then now you can also have the Hierophant here, right? So it's a better reading in that sense. And it's good that I did that because we have indeed the same cards come up in both readings, but for different positions. Please really feel which one you want to go for, because both are really entirely different. All right, so if need be, take your time to pause. I'll show you the crystals again. Really feel which one draws to you, calls you, and go for that one. Okay, thank you. And now I'm gonna start. Right, first card for the numbers one, we have the Three of Boons, which is the Three of Pentacles. This is who are you really? And I so love this card. And he actually is recording it really clearly as well. You can see all these things. There's a raven here and a goblin there, and here in the back there's this cupboard and all kinds of things, and it's just wonderful. I love it. I love this deck. Who are you really? You are the woman, this woman, I feel. These could be helpers, but it can also be aspects of you. But I feel you are very generous, very caring, and also naturally dedicated to something that you love doing. And so when you love doing something, you really dedicate yourself to it. You just do that naturally, right? And whatever it is, you then also add something to it, and that's these sparkles here, the sparkles of enchantment that she's putting in it, in the mix. And you have your own touch. It's also related to these sparkles, because that makes these sparkles, what you add to the mix, makes whatever you do unique. So you have your own touch, right? And that can bring a lot to situations and to people who are ready to receive that. And that will not be everyone, but that's fine, right? That's cool. You also like working together, but mainly if these other people resonate with you. And I feel it's more difficult if you have to deviate from what you want, as what you create comes from the heart and soul. So if these other people do not resonate with that, well, then it's got to be a bit more difficult to work together, to cooperate, right? So it's not something what you do, it's not something learned per se, it just comes natural. And So again, having to deviate from that is gonna go will go against the grain for you, and yeah, it just doesn't feel nice. It goes against your nature then, right? And yeah, that can grate on you if you do have to do that. And I think you can then also be a rather formidable source of resistance when you're in such a situation. And if you can't get out of that, like for instance with your job, which is possible, and you get into that resistance because it doesn't feel good, you don't want to do that, and because you can't do it the way that really feels good to you, then it could be harmful to your well-being to stay in that situation. Then it might actually be better to do something else, to find something else, even if you have to study for it, and so you can move away from such a situation. You can also see the bigger picture. Maybe that's why cooperating with the right people, which here is the raven and the goblin, can be so helpful. Because then in such cases, these other people will help fill in the details that maybe you overlook, or that for you are just distracting. Because oftentimes you have people who are good at the big picture, right? Seeing the overall thing that's going on. And there's people who are good with details. And often these people with the details cannot see that overall, they don't have that overall view. They can't connect all these dots. And there's nothing wrong with that. We are all different. So in that sense, I do feel you see the big picture, the overall thing, the bigger thing. And well, then it is possible that you have difficulty with the details, and then other people can help fill that in. So in that sense, working together can be very helpful. Maybe you are resistant to that, maybe because you have been in situations too many times where working together meant you couldn't do your own thing. But it doesn't have to be that way. There are people who will resonate with you and who can, who will compliment you and you them, right? Okay, your next question is, what brings you delight? Well, it's very simple, very short and sweet. I'm so sorry. We have the world card here, and what brings you delight is traveling and personal freedom as well, which in a way, of course, comes with traveling. So I think everyone who chose this loves to travel, loves to leave the known situations behind and venture out there, and having a bit of an adventurous streak than likely as well, because there is this path to follow for sure, but you can't see where it leads really, and yeah, and so that's cool. So I think that's what brings you delight, traveling and also having personal freedom. Which goes back to the first card, really, that you want to be able to do your own thing, follow your own natural thing, what feels good to you. That has also to do with personal freedom in a way, right? Now we go to, what do you love? And then we have the lovers. I like that card. It's just beautiful. It just really is. What you love is being in a relationship, and not just any relationship, but a lasting, healthy, interdependent love relationship where you stand side by side, hand in hand as equals, complementing each other. And it's just that you feel best and you function best when you are in such a relationship. And considering that we just had the world card, right, with the deer, or stag, buck, whatever. Considering we had that card, it's a relationship that also allows you to keep your personal freedom. And in an interdependent relationship, you would have that anyway, right? There is a balance between what you do together and what you do on your own. So you will still have your own life, your own friends, and going out to see a friend, maybe going out with friends, or your own hobbies, whatever. You're not glued to the hip in such a relationship, which is very healthy, right? Because then you always have something new to tell your partner, right? And yeah, it inspires and keeps everything alive. And you simply function best and feel best when you're in a relationship. That doesn't mean to say that when you're single, you're going to feel miserable. Not at all. But you just feel better when you're in a relationship. Then the next one. What do you know? And then we have the Ace of Pentacles. That's a toad. It's not a frog, okay? Apparently, they get angry when you mistake them for a frog. Anyhow, it's a toad. And the Ace of Pentacles is about prosperity, manifestation, abundance, also new beginnings, right? So it's about, for you, what you know is how to create new prosperous beginnings that have the potential to lead to long-term success, because this is an ace, so it's not there yet, right? It's the potential to do that. It's the beginning of it. It does have to do with things that support your inner growth, the new stuff, and it resonates with you. And in order to get there, to create such new beginnings that will bring you success, whether that's in work or anything else, it doesn't really matter. Because when we say success, we always think about money, or business success. It's not per se about that. But in order to get there, you will have to align your trust, your intuitions, and of course also make the right choices. So that all has to be in alignment. And you know how to do that. You know what and how to prioritize what is truly important in order to get there. And you are also able to rally all the resources that you need along the way. You also know that when you combine the power of visualization and gratitude, and the visualization is also the intention then and the feeling of it, right? And then the gratitude with that you can and will attract even more abundance into your life. And that does not mean that you are doing that at this moment, or that you have that abundance and prosperity right now. But you do know you can do it, and you do know how to do it. So I think maybe you have done a lot of courses, maybe even free stuff online. And law of attraction work, for instance, there's plenty you can read and find online on that. And that can also help you with all the stuff that I just said. So you do know how to do it, but it doesn't mean that you are doing it already, right? But you do know how to. And the trust that comes with this is about taking that first step and having faith and a rock solid belief that you will be shown the next steps as you get going, as you are going, right? So yeah, that's where that trust comes in. So maybe you don't feel that yet, maybe you don't have that yet, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you know how to do it, or how, and that you know that you can do it, that you can have it, right? And that's very important. Next one is, what is your prey? Then we have the High Priestess, called the Wise Woman. Your prey, so in that sense, what you're after, what you want to get, right? Getting to your destiny. And with that, you have to remember that takes time, devotion, patience, and of course your commitment, right? It can also mean you have to seek support So be open and willing to do that, because we saw with this first card that we had that I mentioned that, right? Maybe you are resistant to getting support, to working together with other people, but that way you might actually be missing out on things, because it is really important to know when you should get support. And that doesn't mean, I think it's important to know that does not mean that someone else is going to take over your enterprise, whatever it is you're doing, right? Wanting to achieve. It just means support. Just that, right? And you still keep the power. You're still going to stand at the steering wheel of whatever it is you want to do. So that's what you want. You really want to get to your destiny. And that will, whatever that is different for everyone. For some, that will be their own business or money or a relationship or whatever, whatever you feel called to do. And now we're going to look at what fuels your flight. And then we get the Hunter, which is in the default tarot, the Justice card, the lady with the scales and the blindfold on and a sword as well, Lady Fortuna. Is it what fuels your flight, right? So what inspires you, etc. This is much a card about balance, and with the Lady Fortuna in the Justice card, that's easy to see because she's holding these scales. But you have to remember, with the huntsman, hunters are the people who keep the balance in nature. So when there are too many pigeons or too many deer or too many whatever, they make sure that, they take care of that. And it sounds so nice or so unpleasant and not nice to say they kill them, but basically that's what they do. To maintain the natural balance in nature, right? And so this is about the huntsman, also about balance. Creating balance means that you have to deal with two opposing forces in a way, and you can only do that in a just way, because it's also justice, right? It's supposed to be just, so not for your ego or your own benefits or anything. No, it has to be just. So keeping the balance between two opposing forces in a just way. And you have to remain neutral, because as soon as you lose yourself in, whatever, greed, judgment, your own benefit in one way or another, and maybe making it personal, then you have lost the balance. And within yourself then, right? And then you cannot bring justice in the external anymore either. So you must, it requires strength to do that. Because you first of all have to keep your own balance, right? Otherwise you can't do that work either. So, it might be quite a learning curve for yourself to master that. Because you will have to keep a certain level of detachment while still being compassionate and coming from love. I mean, look at the hunter. He is caressing, patting that deer mother, right? And if you're not coming from compassion and love anymore, then you're gonna feel to other people as cold-hearted and driven by logic only, and no one wants to have that. That brings up a reaction in other people then as well, because it doesn't feel nice. So that. And now I completely forgot the question. What drives you? I think. What fuels your flight? So that fuels your flight. So whatever it is that you want to do, it has to do with balance one way or another. And and opposing forces, by the way, that I spoke of, doesn't mean to say that they are fighting and arguing and etc. etc. It can also be like, I like to work with bringing harmony and balance between the masculine and the feminine. well, they are not at war, are they? Although sometimes you would say so, but no, they're not. They're just completely two different energies that you would then refer to as opposing forces for this card, but they're not really. They're just different, and yeah, it's almost like you are supposed to be I'm looking for the right word now, a conductor, I think. Yeah, a conducer, conductor, something like that. I'm not certain now. And I'm not behind my computer, otherwise I'd look it up. But you bring them together, you gel them together in a way that is soothing, calming, harmonizing to both parties. And yeah, so if there is any upset in somewhere, that is gone, and then these opposing forces can complement one another. So yeah, I hope I'm sort of explaining that okay, and in yeah, because I'm now feel myself losing it in what I'm sensing, and then translating it into words is sometimes difficult. Then when I have that, yeah, I'm now for the moment feeling more than intuiting more. That could be a coach as well, right? Being a coach, because then you also bring balance back in a way. And like when you're a coach, if you yourself haven't got the balance on the inside, the detachment that you need then a bit, and you get attached, or you start maybe to get judgmental about someone, and yeah, then it's not going to work. You have to remain neutral to bring the balance back and bring the peace back, like a mediator in a way. Yeah, mediator. I like that. Okay, we're going to your next card. Right. The next one. What do you covet? So what that basically means what you desire, and usually with a bit of a sense of, from what I understand, because I never use that word, but what something someone else has got and you haven't got it. So in that sense, you want that as well. And so what do you covet? If I have that wrong and you're a native speaker, then feel free to correct me in the comment section. We have the Wheel of Fortune. And so what you really would like to have is control. Because this is about just moving up and down, and it's just going from the. This is almost as well the karmic wheel in a way, right? It's just you have no control over it. It just happens, and you have to just learn to deal with it and go with the flow. And well, you want to have some control, and this is also about patterns, your own patterns, or your patterns that turn up in your life. And you don't want to keep living the same patterns over and over and over. You want to get on top of things. And yeah, that feeling, have that feeling that you are on top of it and you have some sense of control. And that you have things work out for you. So maybe you have at the moment the feeling that that things aren't working out for you so well, or that because you have no control over it, and you want that. You want that control. You want like this steering, that wheel, the Wheel of Fortune, to have a handle, so it becomes like a steering wheel, and you can decide where you go. And well, it doesn't really work that way because often Spirit knows best what we need, and that's not the same necessarily as what we want, right? Yeah, but yeah, this is what you actually really would want to have and desire, is to have some control. And maybe you see people around you, or you think you see people who have control over their life, and you want that as well. Yeah, and then we go to, what is your secret? So yeah, secret, well, that can be a positive something you don't want to tell anyone about, right? Like, for instance, you win the lottery and you don't want to tell anyone. But it can also be something that you rather not have anyone know because you're not so proud of it yourself. It can be anything, right? It's your secret. We have the Three of Swords. This is, for this reading at least, I feel easily taking things personally, even when they're not, because that's the problem. When you take things personally, usually they are not, right? But you still take it that way. That's the problem with that. And the underlying issue of that might be that you have been rejected or abandoned even in the past. And you don't want that to happen again. And you feel that, right? And you have difficulty dealing with such things. And it can be something in your childhood that happened. Maybe you were bullied, or it can be anything. It can be small things even that you tend to overlook. But they can later on result in easily taking things personally. Because, that's a low esteem, self-esteem question then, in a way, right? Now, so that is your secret, so the thing you do not want other people to know. And the next one we have the enchanter, the magician. And this is, let's see, where are we now? The secret we had, your madness. Now this is, I felt this was a bit of a weird question, what is your madness? But okay, you can take that like, for instance, something that you really cannot stand, that drives you nuts, that, well, I can see that someone would call that, what is your madness? For you, that is the, and this is funny, hang about, I need to look for that card again, I'll show you in a minute. Authority, or people that have power to wield situations and thus hold power over you. So in that sense, they become an authority figure then, right? In a way. So not like authority like the police or whatever. It can be, but it doesn't have to be, right? But people who have actually power over your life. And that goes straight back to that control that you actually want. And it goes together really well, right? If you feel you don't have control over your life, well, then you're likely gonna get really pissed off at people, or hurt even when people have power over your life and not you, right? Because that's not gonna feel well. That's gonna grate on you. And but the thing is that in some cases, these people have see the bigger picture when you don't. And sometimes you don't know that because you're in such resistance and such upset, right? And that you're not open to that either. And but it doesn't sit well with you because for you, what stands out is that they have power over you, control over you or your life, and not you. And so that doesn't sit well with you. It upsets you or angers you or makes you scared or whatever. Puts you in overwhelm, also possible. And again, that's related to that Wheel of Fortune, and which is also called the Enchanter's Wheel in this deck. And he is the Enchanter. So he basically turns that wheel, right? And if it's not about other people directly, which is possible, right? You just don't like the feeling of having no control over what's happening. And that could suggest a lack of believing in yourself. And from that, because of that lack, latching on to whatever does feel safe and does give you a sense of security and control, but that is likely going to be a false sense of security and control. Yeah. Right, next one, which is what is your song? So yeah, what is your song? What feels really good to you? What is it that makes you happy? What fulfills you? What is it you want? What do you want to manifest? What do you want to achieve? Something like that, right? Yeah, when headed towards your goal, because this is a fast-moving energy. This is the Eight of Wands, and in here, in this deck, it's all the owls, different owls, and things move rather quick. And this is really fast-moving energy, and so you don't like it when things aren't moving much at all. And yeah, and you may seek or create that out of fear, but then it doesn't do you any good. It might then even affect your health. And it has to be right. It has to feel right. You shouldn't move for the sake of moving, but you also shouldn't stay stagnant, because if you stay stuck, not moving a lot, because you are in fear and in overwhelm and maybe lack of confidence, thinking I can't do that, I can't have that, I can't achieve that, and then you stay stuck, that will not do you any good, and it could seriously affect your health in the end, right? That will not happen with a week or something, but over time, if that's years, well, you might develop all kinds of ailments, even chronic ailments, if you stay in that position, because this is what makes you happy. This is what makes you sing, right? This is your song, moving. And owls are also messengers, so you're also a messenger. And how that pans out will vary for everyone, of course. It's not a personal reading, but owls are the bringers of important messengers. So what you have to bring to the world and to people has significance. And funny thing with owls in the energy thing, mythology or whatever you want to call that, an owl may also not heed a call for help, a second call for help, if the first one was ignored, which I translate for the reading that to say that you are selective with whom you want to work. And if that would also mean then, of course, come down to, if someone isn't open to what you have to offer, that you will then move on and not try to get them to change their mind and to listen to you anyway. Right? You have neither the time nor the patience for that. And there are plenty of other people who are willing and who are ready to receive what you have to offer. This clearly says that you have, when you were able to do that, that you have then got good self-esteem, self-confidence, and boundaries in place. Otherwise, you take it personally again, right? What we saw earlier, and you might have a tendency to do that if you're not all that stable yet, haven't worked on personal growth enough yet. Right? We saw that here, the tendency to take things personally, and then you can't walk away when people reject you, because then you're going to feel it's rejection. Well, it's not. They're just not the right person for you. Right? It's like when you have a business, not everyone is your ideal client, right? Some people you are not interested, and then you shouldn't chase after them, try to get them to become your client after all. You just let them go, right? Because that's not the right client for me. Otherwise they wouldn't want to work with me. or want to buy from me. And you just let them go because you know what you have to offer is good and that the right persons will come. That's this vibe a bit. So your song is this and living that whole thing. And again, bear in mind that this is what you desire deep down, or maybe you really know that. It's not necessarily what you currently already have or currently are already doing. It depends where you are at the moment in your process. But this is what you want to have. This is how you want to live and be the confident messenger, right? And able to let people go who aren't supposed to be on your path. Yeah, I love that. Next one, we go to the King of Cups, which is your strength of character. Now, I like this a lot. Let me see, the King of Cups. Salmons apparently go deep in the waters a lot as well. So you are very deep and you hold a lot of wisdom. And I feel that you have likely gone through a lot in life, which is why you now have that wisdom, right? It's based on life experience. And you can also see through things and people, if you choose to do that, without losing yourself in emotions and feelings, right? Because that's not what the King of Cups does. The King of Cups doesn't lose himself in emotions and feelings and drama and all that stuff. He is the king. So he's on top of the game when it comes to feelings and emotions. He doesn't do that. He has grown so much and has so much wisdom, has learned so much, developed so much in that area that he just doesn't do that anymore. It just doesn't happen anymore. He's on top of it as the king. And what I meant by choosing, when you choose to see through things, I tend to have that as well, that I see through people and things. But that is not always switched on. Like intuition, you can switch it on and you can switch it off up to a point. You can't completely switch it off, but I do not always want to have all my antennae out. That's too exhausting. So that's what I meant with choosing to do that. You are not keen, like this King of Cups, not keen on emotional turmoil that is totally out of control, which comes down to drama. So you don't like drama. And when it comes down to, for instance, being a coach or a counselor or something like that, you likely wouldn't want to be a counselor. But a coach is different. Because when you coach, you help and advise people that stand on their own 2 feet. And they just need a little bit of guidance. And then they get back on track, right? They still got inner strength and all that stuff. And the people that come to a counselor usually need years on end before they recover. And they haven't got this inner strength so much anymore. They basically need someone they can hang on and latch on to and that kind of person. And that's fine. Some people like to work with that. Other people do not have that in them, right? They're different. And you are different. You're more the coaching type because you just don't like that drama. You don't like people latching onto you and all that stuff. Well, that's just an example. I'm not saying all of you are coaches, of course. It's just really an example of how that works with the drama. For some reason, I also feel that you like to dive deep on a regular basis for your own continuing development. And that means likely, right, that you need regular intervals to, regular time to yourself to learn, to grow, but also to recharge your own batteries. And then when you resurface, you have even more to offer. And so that's your strength, that wisdom, that depth, that ability to be there for other people, to help other people without losing yourself. So it doesn't cost you anything. So that also means you have healthy boundaries in place. If you haven't got these boundaries, then you will just give and give and please and give and please. Always answer the phone when someone is calling you. Always answer your email the minute it comes in. And that's then at your own expense. That will cost you your energy. And the King of Cups hasn't got that anymore. He's overcome that. And then your last one, which is what is your philosophy? Right. Well, I suppose that there is no explanation with these questions, which sometimes is a little bit confusing. But I think this is what kind of like the mantra you live by, what you believe in, etc. Something like that. We have the Knight of Pentacles for you, and that's a slower energy. The Knight of Pentacles is not in a rush. He doesn't rush into anything. He just investigates first. So also prepare. Also being prepared yourself before you set out to do something. Not diving head over heels into something. First explore, investigate, make sure you're equipped for the task. And that is because she has an awful lot of different tools and things on her belt, hanging on her belt. So she has tools. She is equipped for it, right? Just taking your time for that, to investigate and etc., etc. And that is, of course, good, but there is a risk that you will remain stuck in this stage. And then you will never get where you really want to go, right? Because then you keep researching and investigating and all that stuff, and then you let's put that one. You actually want to have the faster thing, right? You don't want to waste your time, so you have to have a very, very good balance here. Knowing when it's time to investigate, to learn, to grow, to stand still for a little bit, to move slow, and when you've done enough of that, and then just go for it. That means you have to really feel, you have to be connected to yourself, to your intuition, so you know when to do that. In a way, I almost feel that it also goes back to the, I'm searching here in the pile of cards, which was that really about your delight, a bit, that it also goes back a bit to this, the world card that we had with the question, what brings you delight? Because the deer is leaving the forest here, where he or she has been for quite some time, and she's investigated. I'm just going to say she. I know that there is one type of deer or whatever that also the females have antlers. I can never remember. So I'm just gonna call it a she. She has stayed in place in that forest for quite some time to investigate, to learn, to see everything that's there, to get to know and acquainted with everything and everyone that is there. And now she knows it's time to leave that behind and to venture out to other pastures, whatever, right? So that's knowing when it's time to move on, knowing when you've learned enough, studied enough, explored enough, and when you should just take off and go. So I hope that resonates. That was a lot of information. I knew it was a long reading. Anyhow, there will be another one pretty soon, because as I was doing this one for you, my new deck came in. That one. So there will be a love reading pretty soon. So keep an eye on my channel, then you will not miss it. I do hope this resonated and is helpful to you. I'd love to read about that in the comment section, because like this was really a long reading. Oh my god. Good thing my new phone can record for a long time, otherwise I wouldn't have made it for the second set. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time, likely with these new cards for the love reading. Bye! Numbers 2, your reading. Your first card, and this is who you really are. Well, actually it says, what are you really? Okay, well, whatever. We have the Six of Cups, and you are a very loving and caring person that tends to always see the good in everyone and everything, and in that sense you could sometimes be a little naive. That's something that maybe you want to bear in mind, you know. But I also feel you have a vivid imagination, like still believing in fairy tales, kind of, you know, like, and believing in true love and romance and stuff like that, and believing also that such beautiful things can just really happen. Going there in such a vibe and thoughts like that, which then comes with feeling that way as well, helps to recharge your battery when you need that, right? So if you're tired, exhausted, emotionally drained, whatever, it might help to just take some time to sit and to dream and fantasize a little bit about such things, and yeah, that will help recharge your battery. And then for the numbers 2, we have, for the second question, I'm sorry, you are numbers 2, of course, what brings you delight? And that's the good thing, I got a second tarot deck out for you, because this card also came up in the other set, but in a different position. But otherwise you couldn't have had the Lover's card, right? So what brings you delight? Very similar to the first card. What brings you delight is a good romance story, believing in true love, loving connections that complement you, and that goes for both the love connections, of course, romantic connections, but also with friendships, and it's also being able to be you. Right, because what we see here is this wonderful couple that complements one another, and they can both be themselves within that connection. And that's the kind of stuff, if you have that, whether it's with romance, but also with friendships, etc., where you can be yourself, where you can feel yourself, where you do not have to wear masks and pretend to be something you're not really, you know, that is what brings you delight. That is what makes you feel good. And then we have what you love. What do you love? We have the Wheel of Fortune. And it's looking at the positive, looking at the bright side of things, working on yourself as well, because this is also about patterns, your patterns. That means too, right? It's patterns in your life, but also patterns that you have. And working on that and appreciating and building on the good that is in your life and that you have learned. Yeah, it's really very positive. Absolutely, I love it. I love this energy. Very positive. Because this is a constant motion, really, right? The wheel that turns and you have no control over it. But yeah, you thrive regardless, because you have that positive attitude of looking at the bright side, and you look at the positive. So yeah, that means there's always a silver lining on the clouds, right? For you, that's how you see it. Think the glass is half full. Yeah, I like it. And you like that too, because this is what you love. And if you are out of that vibration, then it's really good to go back to taking a bit of time and fantasizing and that stuff to recharge the battery and to get back on track again. And your next card is what do you know? Then we have the Knight of Swords. And you know how to overcome challenges and problems. And this is a very enthusiastic and swift energy. This is fast moving, the Knight of Swords. Also very intelligent. And I get with this, and with the card that comes up later as well, that you set high standards for yourself. And you work what you want to, at what you want to achieve with determination. This is not a giving up energy, right? It's just really going for it and being determined. And also with this card is that other people may not always understand you. They might have the wrong view of you. They, if this part is the only thing they happen to see, for instance, like colleagues or whatever, or family, I'm not saying that's the case with you, it's just examples, right? Then they may not understand that you have a completely different, the depth of it, because for you there's a lot of depth behind this. It's not cold-hearted at all. It's just fast, knowing what you want, going for it, and enthusiastic, etc., etc. Yeah. And the next one is, what is your prey? Which I translate as, what are you after, right? Like an owl, for instance, or another bird of prey is when they go down with their claws in front of them, downwards, right? Spread open like that, ready to just grab a rabbit or a mouse or whatever. It's what they want, and this is what you're after. And you are after manifesting your dreams and your goals. And I feel dedication and tenacity at getting it as well. You really are going for whatever it is you want. And that can be anything, right? From being able to be yourself, to success, to money, your dream house, because we see that here as well. A relationship, it can be anything. Health as well. But in a way, I actually think you want it all these things. The whole enchilada, the complete picture. And not from greed. I don't think you're greedy or after money. I don't feel that at all. It's just about having what brings you happiness and fulfillment in life. So in that sense, you're not going to settle for less. You just want it all. And you're bloody working for it as well, right? With this, with that Knight of Swords, you're not waiting and hoping it will knock on your door. No, you're going after it. So this is what you want. This is what you're after. That's what you're wanting to find. And what fuels your flight, so what inspires you, what lights your passion, your fire. Then we have the Seven of Wands. And dealing with problems head on, so that you can put them behind you, out of your hair, right? And then it's done, dealt with, and then you can move on. And also, if need be, you are going out on a limb in order to get what you want, or to safeguard what you already have achieved and obtained. And that going out on a limb, she's standing on that piddly little stool in front of the fire with her skirt, right? So you're really willing to do something for it. And it fuels you, fires you, inspires you to just do that, not sitting still. You're just really active and going for it, doing something about everything, things. So it's not like there is a problem and you just sit back and, oh my God, stick your head in the sand and hope that it's just going to magically disappear. No, you're not like that. You're not going to do that, because that only wears you out, gets you down. No, you're going to deal with it. You're really going to deal with it. That's what I feel with that. And that fuels you. So in short, that is what fuels you, is succeeding at overcoming something. And the feeling that gives you the feeling as well that you can do it, that you can have it, that it is within your reach. It feels good, and it does, doesn't it? is I sometimes have this tendency to stick my head in the sand when there is something I don't like, you know. But that makes you feel even worse. If you just deal with it and get it over with, then you actually feel like, yeah, I've done it. That's what this is. Yeah. And then your next card, what do you covet? Let's see, yeah. So what you really want, what you really desire, what you really wish to have is the 10 of Cups. Soul fulfillment and bliss. Harmony and unity with a partner. But it can also be with people in general. If you don't have a partner, or you do, and it's all hunky-dory, and you know, then it can also be in general with other people. That's what you really want to experience. Soul fulfillment and bliss. Yeah, I think that's why you're working so hard. Why you're doing your best and working so hard to get there. Also with the sun. Yeah. What is your secret? So yeah, that can be something good, can be something bad, at least, but it is something that you want to keep a secret, that you do not tell other people, don't want other people to know, hope other people don't know, that kind of thing. And then we have the 8 of Swords. And with this, I feel that sometimes you lose your cool and your momentum. And then you feel you are lost, and then you're just flailing around in despair, not knowing how to get out and how to move on. And panicking isn't going to help you. You have to then when that happens, you have to just take a deep breath and use your analytical abilities, right? And to just, so it doesn't feel like a dark cloud all over you, you know. In a way, all you have to do is open your eyes, right? Take off that blindfold and see that you are not really stuck. And this getting in this energy, in this vibe, in this way of thinking, even can get you totally off kilter. And it feels as if that's going to last, to be that like that for quite some time then as well. So in that sense, it's important to get clear what people or what things and situations can get you in this energy and can get you so off kilter. Because if you know what or who can do that to you, can trigger that in you, then you can prevent it from happening in the future. Or since we can't always prevent everything, right? Then if you know who or what, then you can develop a way to get out of it faster, right? You can then maybe see like, damn, you know, it's this happened again, or I thought of that, or this got triggered, and now I put my foot in it again. Yeah, okay, right, I wasn't going to do that anymore, and then focus on other stuff. Then you can find ways of dealing with that. And it could also help to talk to someone about this, someone you trust. Because this is your secret. So I don't think people know about this, you feeling that way occasionally, that you can get in such a state of despair at times. So in that sense, it might be really good to actually tell someone about it, so you have some support. Yeah. All right, your next one is, what is your madness? So in a way, what can drive you up the wall, really gets at you. And then we have the Temperance card. Losing your calm and your alignment, your sense of inner guidance. And that can happen to you when you don't have enough time, or you didn't take enough time to enjoy life and smell the roses and just keep pushing forward and forward and forward. And that is very likely related to that secret, this. one of the reasons that gets you off kilter, this, is directly related to that. Meaning that you have to be mindful to take enough time to have a bit of fun, to play around, to enjoy life, to smell the roses, and not just push yourself to go on and on and on. You have to take a break. Otherwise, you're going to lose your center, your inner connection, and then the Eight of Swords is the next step if you're not careful. And like I said, I felt with that Eight of Swords card that can last quite some time. So it's better to prevent getting in that energy. Your next one, what is your song? So what you preach, what you want, what you like, something like that. What is your song? And then we have the Chariot card. Following your own path. And that will also lead to success, providing you're going for what is truly calling you and you are following your heart. Otherwise, then you're doing something that doesn't come from the inside, right, really? And then it's not really going to lead to success. So that's really a very important aspect. Also get clear what this path is for you. And that getting that clear itself, which can be quite a process, right? Sometimes it takes us years to figure out what our calling is, our path is in life. And this is also your song is also about enjoying that process. That's also part of the journey that you're taking here. Right? It's not just about the end, reaching the goal, the end goal, the end destination. No, it's a whole journey, the entire journey. Now, let's see, your strength of character. Then we have the Queen of Atames. Sorry, I needed a bit of coffee. It's the Queen of Swords. Your strength of character. You're very perceptive and you're able to see through deception and illusion because she's very perceptive. You're also able to see things objectively, which is also a great asset, right? If you can do that. Not everyone can do that. You may think everyone can, but that's not true. You have high standards, self-confidence. The high standards, that's where what I was getting at earlier on with the Knight of Swords. It came up with the Knight of Swords as well, right? Which it makes sense because the Queen of Swords is the continuation of the Knight of Swords. So high standards, self-confidence, and you likely worked hard to get there through trial and error. Maybe it hasn't always been easy for you. This is also the card that says that you're not codependent, or not anymore. Maybe you were in the past, but now you're not anymore. And you cut through that, and you're strong now. And that, of course, doesn't mean you don't hurt. Because sometimes in some decks, in this one as well, unfortunately, the Queen of Swords is depicted as a not so friendly woman. I've actually seen worse on other decks than this one, but so it doesn't mean that you don't hurt and that you don't love. Of course you do. But you know your worth now because you've learned so much, you've been through so much, you have grown so much, and you now stand in your own power. Right? And if someone doesn't respect you, doesn't value you, doesn't treat you like a high value woman that you are, doesn't give you what you know you deserve, then, well, is kind of like, well, sod it, then you're not putting up with that anymore. And oftentimes people who have that very strongly in their vibration have been like that in the past, where they did put up with all kinds of crap. But you're not there anymore. Maybe you never were. That might not go for everyone, of course. But the way you are, in the energy of the Queen of Swords, demands respect. Right? Because if you respect yourself, and if you know your worth, your value, other people will feel that too. You will exude that, right? So you will demand other people's respect as well. And like with the Knight of Swords, not everyone may understand you. And some people may think you're a bit cold, or they may simply underestimate you. But you're not cold at all. I think you're more selective with, to whom you open up. And when you're truly in the energy of this Queen, I doubt you would argue or try to convince people, nor get in... I have wanted to say, no, well, just let's stick to a battle of the egos with the ones who underestimate your strength, right? You're not going to argue with anyone about that. You're not going to try to convince them of your strength. You're not going to be defensive. It's like, yeah, well, whatever. You know your strength. You know your worth. So that means you can simply walk away from an argument without it affecting your confidence. You simply know that some battles, and by that I mean arguments or stuff like that, are just not worth your time and your energy, So you pick your battles, you just walk away from it. And that only makes you stronger and gets you more respect. And that's not what you're doing it for. But it works that way anyway, Yeah. Let's see. I went through your reading really fast, totally amazing. And then we have your last card already. Oh my God. What is your philosophy? And I translate that into something like, what is the mantra you live by, your motto, something like that, right? What's your philosophy? And then we have the Nine of Swords. And I feel for this reading, that means that you see that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how bad it gets, it never is permanent. You will bounce back and you will move on. And in a way, by being able to do that and knowing how to do that, or knowing that you can do that, you can also then inspire other people with that. That they come to this sense of, oh, I can do that as well then. Right? And that's because here we see this woman, the Nine of Swords, she's completely stuck and sleepless nights, stress, anxiety, and so on and so forth, and doesn't know how to sort the problems, and but if she only looks up, then there is this beautiful light coming in through the window. It isn't dark at all. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And you know that. And I think that, that is kind of your mantra, your philosophy, your drive. Maybe not even consciously that you would say that, but deep down in your consciousness or unconsciousness, it's there, that knowing that there is light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how bad it gets, it never is permanent. It's always going to shift and change and end and whatever. There's always possibilities and solutions to be found if you just open your eyes and look at it. Yeah. So that's your reading. I hope it resonates with you, and I hope it is helpful, and of course that you enjoyed it, because that's always the idea. And pretty soon I'm gonna be back, because as I was doing the first set, my new deck came in. This one, Soul Connections When Two Hearts Meet, and as you can see, I haven't even opened it. Like I said, it only just came in. So the next reading is likely going to be a love reading, so totally different, yes, again. But for now, I hope you love this one and that it helps you. And maybe you heard a few things that you say, yeah, that's right. I like that. That's correct. Please leave some comments in the comment section below. I always like that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.